What's up? It's Cody from the Keeper's Nerdum. How y'all doing? I wanted to take a time to review another Keyforge deck. This is Donatai, the announcer of Westpolis, with that wonderful their leader. Oh my goodness, I'm blanking right now. Archon. Thank you. There you go. Archon. And this is fantastic. It's got Logo, Star Alliance, and Sanctum as its creatures in its houses. We'll look through the deck list. I'm sorry, the sleeves kind of make it even a little bit more shiny. We'll leave logos for last to talk about it, why I kept this deck. It's like, I think, a 43% deck of some sort. And it doesn't work really well, but it's a lot of fun. And sometimes, again, some of these decks are kept just for gimmicks and also to play against lower type decks. So let's start off with Star Alliance. This is Blast Shielding Upgrade card. So when you play this, you get to upgrade something. This creature gets +2 armor. After this creature is used, its controller may attach Blast Shielding to one of this creature's neighbors. So you can move this around, which is really cool. It just allows you to do some interesting shenanigans. Detention Coil Upgrade. Get an Amber. This creature cannot fight. So you actually put this on your opponent to stop them. This is the same thing, but it can't reap this time. These are really funny to like turn off a creature that gains a lot of bonuses for reaping or fighting, and especially when you do it to both of them to the same creature, because then that creature just kind of sits there unless they have an action ability. Subject Kirby with a damage pip from something else, and Subject Kirby is a 2-power, no armor minion. Play, fight, or reap. So when you play it even, you may play a non-Star Alliance creature this turn. Fantastic to get an extra card out of your hand. Very, very good. Another damage pip here. Scout Pete for health, 0 armor. Play, fight, reap. Look at the top card of your deck. You may discard that card. This is good and bad. Like, it could be really useful. All right, just get moving things around in your deck. Not a bad card. Not a great card. Blast Shielding we've already seen. Scout Pete again without the damage pip. Red Alert. This card is fantastically interesting. Play. It's just an action card. If there are more enemy creatures than friendly creatures, deal damage to each enemy creature equal to the difference. So if they have 4 out and you have 1, you get to deal 3 damage to every single one of them. Really, really cool. Don't understand exactly what the card does. Like, flavor text-wise, Red Alert. Well, that's not a gun or anything, but yet damage is dealt from just turning on the Red Alert klaxons. Okay. Teleported Chief Tink. These are probably one of the worst cards in many ways. Swap. This is an action. He is elusive. 2 health. It's an action. Swap him with another friendly creature in the battle line. You may use that other creature this turn. I say it's just not good because oftentimes they don't survive just long enough. Like, not them, but the other things that you're wanting to switch to because people see it. Also, I always thought he was wearing a mask inside of his helmet, and I realized later on that's actually like his mouth. It just, when you cursory glance at it, you don't realize it. Okay, Peace Accord. This is one of the rare cards. It's an artifact, so it always stays out. Each player, when you play it, gains 2 amber. This is very dangerous. After a player fights with a creature, they lose 4 amber, destroy Peace Accord. It allows you to stop fighting and just work on your own side, which is kind of interesting, and it's a fun gimmick, and I like this card a lot just because it's not always a good card, but it just changes the state of the game. Hadron Collision. Play, remove a ward from a creature and deal 3 damage to it. This damage cannot be prevented by armor, so it goes straight through to their health. So if they have a lot of armor for some reason, this can kill it. This is really a cool card, and it removes ward. Just gets around all sorts of things. And you can use it even if it doesn't have a ward on it. You play it, and you go through all of it, and you remove a ward from a creature and deal 3 damage to it. So if there's no ward, then you just don't remove a ward. Crewman York, 3 amber. She's enhancing for a capture icon. Action, if Crewman York has no Star Alliance neighbors, steal 1 amber. She's really good if you can keep her alive. Unfortunately, she gets targeted a lot. So, overall, the Star Alliance stuff, not great, but not bad by any means. Just not great. Okay, so Sanctum, shoulder armor upgrade. +2 armor, +2 power while it's on a flank. And with the amber pip. Really good card. Angry Mob. So, yeah. This is a Gen 4 deck, by the way, and it's got enhancements, as you've seen, but it's sometimes Gen 4 has some really awesome decks, and sometimes has this stuff. Angry Mob. Before fight, you may discard cards from the top of your deck until you discard an Angry Mob, run out of cards. If you discard an Angry Mob this way, put it in your hand. So you can get more Angry Mobs. That being said, this deck has a total of 3. The problem with Angry Mob, okay, is you have to discard cards. You have to discard cards. And that means you're getting rid of other cards that may be more useful. That's the problem with them. They're good in the sense that you can get a lot of minions out really fast, but then somebody plays a kill card and you're gone anyway. Baldric the Bold, 4 health, 2 armor. Before fight, if the creature Baldric the Bold fights is the most powerful enemy creature, gain 2 amber. Love this card. Fantastic, because it rewards you for fighting, and that's really helpful. Especially if you could combine it with Smite. It's an action to play, ready and fight with a friendly creature. Deal 2 damage to the attack creature's neighbors. Fantastic card, because it rewards fighting and gives you extra stuff, especially if Baldric the Bold is out. Squire Alice, I both like her and hate her. 2 health, 2 armor. When you play, you capture 2. She is extremely useful. She's extremely awesome. The reason I don't like her is she's 2 health. I know she has 2 armor, but 2 health isn't killing a whole lot of stuff. And so all they have to have is a 4 power minion hit her or a card that does that. So she's really good because she can control Amber, but she's going to die. She's going to die. 1 Amber Pip here, Burning Glare, enhance a damage on something else. Play, stun an enemy creature or stun each enemy mutant creature. Okay, let's talk about this card for a second. And there's another shoulder armor. And, okay. Yeah, let's talk about this card for just a second here. The problem with this card is oftentimes what you're going to find is you can just stun an enemy creature. I'm glad they allowed for something if there aren't enemy mutant creatures. But unfortunately, it's just not very powerful when it only gets to do that effect. All right? Stunning, it can be really useful, but there's way better cards that do it. Now, if you find a deck that has a lot of mutants, all of a sudden that card goes crazy. Gizzleheart Standard Artifact, Amber Pip. Each friendly creature with Amber on it gets +1 armor. When you play it, exalt a friendly creature. So you can actually give your characters, all of them, every house, +1 armor all the time if they have Amber, which is really cool. Amber Icon, capture Amber Icon, action, Fangs of Gizzleheart, play, purge the most powerful creature. The problem with this is actually one of the worst cards to see in this deck because of what's in the logos. Because there is a creature in there with a very high health. And so this just doesn't work very well, unfortunately. So if they have the highest creature out and you play this, then it's fantastic. But unfortunately, it often can target you because of what you'll see. Ardent Hero. I love this card. It's only a 4 power minion, right? No armor even. Kind of weird. Doesn't sound very good. It's a taunt minion too, so it's protecting other things. Then it's where things gets crazy is this. Ardent Hero cannot be dealt damage by mutant creatures or creatures with power 5 or higher. He is protected from all mutants and all power 5 and higher critters. So it has to be 4 or lower to actually kill it and not be a mutant. That card is protective. Kill cards can still get it, but that is fantastic. So now we come to the logos. We're going to throw that back. First off, we have Bot Bookton. She's a 4 power minion. Reap, play the top card of your deck. Not bad at all. If you can keep her alive, fantastic. It's kind of like Munchling here. 3 power, but most people target him because they know what he does. He's a skirmisher, which means he doesn't take any damage when he attacks on offense. It's like he's just clawing and biting, and he just doesn't even care, and he just goes straight through you. But fight, you may discard a Logos card from your hand or archives. If you do, gain 1 amber. This fight's not that good, but the skirmish is where it's at. Standardized Testing. I love this card. And I also thought that right there, let's get a close-up here. I always thought that was part of his nose. That little thing on the table, especially at a cursory glance, just always cracked me up. It was like, what's wrong with this kid? All right, so play, destroy each creature with the lowest power and each creature with the highest power. And that affects you. But it's one of those cards that just creates pure chaos, but unfortunately it doesn't work well in this deck because of how big of a minion is in here. Prescriptive Grammar Bot. This is a rare card. I like this one, but it's a little meh. He's a taunt minion, 3 health only. But he has Hazardous 3, so when they attack him, he does 3 damage before they even get to attack him. And when he reaps, he enrages a creature, your choice. That's fantastic because enraging means they have to fight when used if able. So you can just turn a creature off that's not good for anything other than like their action or their reap. This is Opposition Research. It's an enhancer. Play, enemy creatures cannot reap during your opponent's next turn. I both like this card and just kind of go meh. It's whatever. Lethalogica. Talk about a card. Holy cow. Amber Pip, play, discard cards from the top of your deck until you discard a Logos card or run out of cards. If you discard a Logos card this way, put it into your hand. This is fantastic. Even though it does like the Angry Mob and you're discarding cards, it targets any Logos card. And that's where it changes because all of a sudden it's way more useful because you can get any Logos card. And like you could get this, the Forge Compiler artifact. After your opponent forges a key, destroy Forge Compiler and ward each friendly creature. So you can protect yourself completely. This is another rare card. Not a fan of this card. It's terrible. Animator artifact. It's an item that has an action. Move an artifact to a flank of its controller's battle line. For the remainder of the turn, it is a creature with 3 power that belongs to the active house. It leaves the battle line when it's no longer a creature. The unfortunate thing about this is just that... how to explain this card? It just is so situational, and you have to do a second step to it of defeating the creature. So like if standardized testing is able to target it, then cool, it worked, okay. But otherwise you have a problem with this deck. That this is too slow, and you also have to fight it after the fact. And just not very good. Forge Compiler again, good card, as long as they're not on their last key to forge, because then if they forge it, it doesn't really matter that you awarded stuff because they won. So here we go. This is why I kept this deck in many ways too. Amber Pip, it's coming, it's an action. Play, search your deck and discard pile for either half of a gigantic creature, reveal it, and put it in your hand. Shuffle your deck. Excuse me. Excuse me. All right. So understand, like, this card searches for gigantic cards. Now, gigantic cards are these. This is Ultra Graviton. We're going to have to set him out here. So you have to, in order to play Ultra Graviton, all right, you have to have both sides of this card. You have to. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Otherwise, it does nothing. And the reality is, this is a really cool thing. And it's, 1 of 2 right up here, 2 of 2 down here. They are guaranteed that if you get the one side, you get the other. And what's interesting, if memory serves, that one of these is labeled as a Logos card and the other, I guess, technically is, but it's just there's some weird searching thing issue. I can't remember exactly what it was, but there was something weird about this. And you have to play both halves in order to use him. He's a 10 power, 3 armor minion, and he can only play with the other half of Ultra Graviton. When you play him, archive the top 5 of cards of your deck, and archive sits over off to the side, and you can grab them at the beginning of any turn after you declare your house. That's really cool. That's really powerful. But then you have a handful of cards that may or may not be useful right then. However, his Fight and Reap. Discard a card from your archives. If you do, purge a creature and resolve each of its bonus icons as if you had played it. So that's purging a creature on any side, yours or your opponent's. This is insane. This is absolutely insane. Because you can control a battlefield. Unfortunately, it just takes time, and you have to call Logos again. And so as long as those archive cards were a lot of Logos, awesome. But the problem is, often if you're going to play him, you've already got a lot of Logos in your hand too to mess up your opponent. So it's an interesting thing that he could sit out there for a long time and be shenanigans, and the right decks that are speed decks that are more useful, because I have a better version of this deck with him in it. It's fun and it's awesome. And side note, let's just take a moment here. Like, the artwork here is fantastic. This is beautiful. This is the stuff that you hope for in games, right? And that's a big deal when they get to this point and they win like this. And so, unfortunately, this deck just doesn't work very, very well. It's just not fast enough. It doesn't have everything it needs to get this guy out and running, unlike another deck that I have that does that. So, overall, fun deck, especially the real goal is just to always try to get him out once per game just to see it. That's the goal, just to have the fun. And oftentimes, throw a piece of cord out there and be like, hey, we can't fight, ha 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 ha. And that's the beauty of a deck like this, that it's more for the antics and the silliness. And especially if someone plays Keyforge, but they stopped before Gen 4, or they just didn't buy into it or something and they didn't pay attention, it's so fun to lay something like this down and they're like panicking, and then they realize really what this is. It's not great, but it's fun. So what is it that you have gotten in Keyforge? What is your favorite type of deck? Let me know in the comments down below. This has been Donatai, the announcer of Westpolis, and look at that Archon again. Look at that. So pretty. Love it. All right. I've been Cody from the Keepers of Nerdom. Take care.